All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we would like to give all praise and glory unto
Yahweh,
Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful lake out there, pushing the word and truth, and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers and listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, the GMS Mississippi Camp that's coming with in transit. All right, and this in transit is dealing with Eddie Burn. Okay, and we're speaking of this whole system. All right, this whole beast system, you know, and the core of this beast system, which is America. All right, which is the wicked, influence of the earth, the cancer and the plague of the earth. Okay, because you look at all the major problems of the earth, you look at all the problems of the earth, you can trace it back, all right, to America. And the brother just talked about troubleshooting, before, we turned the camera on. But when you go into troubleshoot, you're trying to trace the cause of the problem. Well, if you troubleshoot, okay, the conflicts, the problems, the chaos, the confusion, okay, if you traced all those things back, you will look back to America, man. And that's what's going to be burned, all right, off the earth, okay, is America, all right? And we under the guise of let it burn, and we don't feel any way about it, all right? Because there's a lot of people that's attached. They still hold this place in admiration, okay? No matter how bad of a deal they get, no matter how much of a scam America is, people are fighting to revive America, you know? But no, we're here, to proclaim, let the justice of the Lord be so, which is to burn this place with fire, man. Okay? So we're going to get into some precepts, all right, to back that up. And Lord will, you brothers and you sisters are edified. You got to
Second Peter chapter 3, verse 3, it says, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers. It's like there shall come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lust. Verse 4, and saying,
and what we see now, there's a trend, people are scoffing. And ultimately, they're scoffing against the Lord's judgment. Because all we're doing is proclaiming what the Lord said He's going to do. Proclaiming the judgment of Yahweh by Shema Shai. Okay? So we're proclaiming the judgment of Yahweh by Shema Shai. All right? Then when you're scoffing against what we're saying, you're scoffing against the judgment. Okay? So you have the masses of people, okay, that scoff against the judgment of the Lord. Okay? But this is it's supposed to be so. It's nothing that we, are upset about. We're not triggered by it because we know that these things must be. These people have to play their lot in the movie, which is to be scoffed, man. Okay? So this is what we had when people are scoffing before the judgment. You best believe they scoffing at Noah. Okay, building the boat. No rain was happening, man. So we had over a century and Noah was with no rain. So he prophesying, for things and they haven't happened. Okay, that produces scoffers, man. Okay, but go ahead.
done. Verse 4, it says, and saying, where is the promise of his coming?
Yep.
For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation.
Yeah, so people in their mind, just because we speak of things, on Saturday and it don't happen on the Sunday, then we're not talking about that. Just because we speak in the Lord's judgment, and because people are able to go on about their regular day of convenience, they think nothing of it. Like, look, you been saying these things. People, brothers have grown old in the truth, man. Those brothers in the truth, 15, 20 years, apostles, 40 plus, 30 years plus, saying the same thing, and people are still able to go about their convenient day, things are shook up every now and then, and people get concerned. So, Lord is rocking people to sleep and it's testing our patience, man. You know, it's testing our integrity by continuing on to. Because first, we have to believe that the judgment is coming to continue to do this thing in sincerity, man. You know, not doing this thing to be seen, not for filthy lucre, but for the sake of righteousness, man, and faith. You know, so it's a test of our integrity to continue in this thing. You know, when it's being scoffed at. You know, to believe in the faith even when people scoff against it, because that's a mind thing. People, the multitude telling you that it's not going to happen, but you believe that's going to happen. So that's that resistance needed, you know, to keep our faith strong, man.
Going into how you know brother was going into it yesterday doing a camp, about how like just because Yahweh Shai come back on your time, that don't mean he's not coming back. Overall, that's Lord. That's part of the sifting process.
You know,
'Cause a lot of people fall out for that lack of patience, that lack of steadfast, the lack of what they like to say, standing on business.
yeah,
But you got to stand on business behind Yahweh Shai. Habakkuk, I think it's two that goes in the right division and make it play.
yeah,
Go into the scriptures. For surely, though it shall tarry, for surely it will come.
yeah,
Roughly paraphrasing, going into, regardless of how long it takes. Lord, only the Lord knows. How shall I know? Only the Lord knows when He gonna get that go ahead. So overall, back to the point, so like, it's still a system process.
yeah,
You know that lack of patience. Some people drop the plow, and a lot of people don't even pick it up
yeah,
because of that lack of patience.
yeah,
Verse 5, it says, "For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of the Most High the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that when was being overflowed with water perished." Verse
So
7.
it goes back into the judgment of the flood, okay? Where the Lord, you know, made the water engulf the earth, you know, and that rain, you know, this constant rain that caused the flood of the earth. So if they was mocking, you know, they was mocking, you know, talking shit against Noah. Okay, and what happened eventually, the Lord closed up the mercy because Noah was mercy. You know, the prophecy represent mercy before the judgment. You know, the scripture speak about how, matter of fact, get that real quick in Second Chronicles uh, 36 and 15. Okay, so the Lord raised Noah up as mercy in his time, in his era. Okay, and you know, all right, that they scoffed against that because you had other sons of God. Okay, that lineage, you know, was a nation in the earth at that time. So uh, Noah was scoffed at. Then eventually the Lord showed closed up mercy and just started to judge, man. And we're gonna see the same thing now. Okay, and it's gonna be Jacob's trouble all the way up until the fight. All right, we got it, brother.
God, this is Second Chronicles chapter 36, verse 15. I'm read you the NLT.
Yep.
It says, "The Lord Yahweh, the power of their ancestors, repeatedly sent his prophets to warn them, for he had compassion on his people."
Wait a minute. So he repeatedly sent his prophets to warn Jake, man. Isn't that happening now? And there's constantly new prophets being awakened, going out to teach. So the Lord is constantly adding to the ministry of prophets. And it said, the Lord did that because of mercy. So through mercy, the Lord has raised up the prophets. Okay? So through mercy, the Lord has raised up the prophets for what? Because it was act of compassion. So before judgment, the Lord raises up the prophets, man. Go ahead.
Because, I mean, hey,
I'll be shocked.
what is the father? What's wrong? He repeatedly try to tell you. But after a while, he got to put that rod on your ass. You know? So that goes until, like you said, the prophet is speaking. That's the Lord showing mercy. Hey, chill out.
Yeah,
Hey, you're doing too much.
the verbal, that's the mercy. Verbal warning is mercy. You know?
Verse 16, it says, "But the people mocked these messengers of the Most High and despised their words.
Yep.
They scoffed after prophets until the Lord Yahweh's anger could no longer be restrained, and nothing could be done.
Yeah, so they scoffed until the Lord's anger couldn't be restrained and nothing could be done. There was no remedy. And this was going to happen this time. All right? Because people are going to scoff until the nukes are shot off. Matter of fact, get that real quick in Matthew 24 and 36. See, really get into these things because people are going to scoff and mock until the Lord's anger just burst out into the earth. And then it's going to be over. He's going to cause the family of the word. He's going to allow Esau, to ban, the word, shut down the internet, whatever he's going to do. All right, the family of the word. But then that's a sign that the Lord is going to judge. Okay, that's a sign that the Lord has shut the door of mercy. Now it's just about judgment. Now his anger just going to reach out in the earth, man. Go ahead.
This is Matthew 24 and 37. This is the NLT too. Kind of makes it plain. It says, the Son of Man returns going to Yahweh Shah.
Yep.
It said it will be like it was in Noah's day.
In Noah's day. So why is Yahweh Shah bringing this back up? The time of Noah. Okay? Because Noah was a warning for the storm. Okay, go ahead.
It says, verse 38, it says, in those days before the flood, people were enjoying banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time Noah entered his boat.
Yep, so until the time that Noah entered to the boat, and this time until we enter to the chariots. Okay, we're going to be in those chariots. We're going to get beat up in those chariots simultaneously when the nukes are shot off. It's going to be a lot happening within that hour, from lunch, all right, to the missiles hitting that destination, reaching that destination and destroying. It's going to be a lot happening in that hour, man. So people are going to be, there's going to be some normalcy in the earth, man, because the sea hip is to bring normalcy back. Okay, so the chaos, that's going to be Esau, depopulating, causing, a lot of death in the earth, so he can pop up with his solution with the sea hip. So that sea hip is going to bring normalcy back to a degree. But then guess what? All right, this third war is going to go nuclear, and people, okay, are going to go back. People are going to be kicking it. And this war going to go nuclear, man. And when the nuke shot off, okay, in the midst of what you're doing, that's when judgment going to hit you at, man. Like the elder brother, Zahab goes into how you go into Pompeii, that museum in Memphis, and it has those people, it shows them how they was burnt, doing daily activities, man. It was caught up in their judgment during daily activities, man. And that's how it's going to be in this time, man. People are going to be nuked doing daily activities, man. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 39, people didn't realize what was going on. And people didn't realize what was going to happen until the flood came and swept them all away.
Yep.
That is the same way it will be when the Son of Man, Yahweh Shai, comes.
Yep. So Yahweh Shai is coming, the missiles and Yahweh Shai are simultaneously. So is he, because Yahweh Shai gonna make quick work, of them nations. It's gonna be quick work. They gonna burn them up. Let the militaries of the earth burn. Let it all burn, and that's what we on. That's the mindset that we on. To let this shit burn. You've been warned, you've been told, and you turn into mockers. All right, you fan the hand, you turn the shoulder. Okay, you double down in your wickedness. So we under the pressure of let it burn. We're not trying to save anything. Let it burn. Okay, we're not here to have an intervention. Okay, for the nigga woman trying to get her together. No, let that bitch burn. These niggas, let these niggas burn, man. Because people have to understand, this generation is cooked. So the next generation is double cooked. Like that. See, people are trying to have an intervention with Eve. Motherfucker, 5 children, 5 baby daddies, and all this, rebellion and shit. And they trying to have an intervention with her. She done. But you got to understand, the children are done. These young niggas, they're done. This generation of young niggas, they're already done. Ain't no trying to turn them around. Now, the beautiful thing about Yahushua is, his mercy is great. And he brings us from all walks of life. Okay? So, the mercy of the Lord can do anything. But see, we're not here. See, we're just here to teach this word. And if the word don't get you together, then ain't nothing else we can do. If this word don't get you together, we're not here to be no outreach. All right? We're not no outreach. We're not no shelter. Okay? We're not motivational speakers. No. If this word don't get you together through preaching, then ain't nothing we can do. So outside of this word going forth, let it burn. If the word don't get you together, shit, throw you on the pile, man. Because because you already know. Because you look at this next generation, we know what they finna grow into. I be looking at, young Jake and these young children of the next generation. We know what they finna be. We know what they finna be. So they're gonna be worse than this one, man. So now the solution is let it burn. You know.
I mean, yeah, when you said that, that made me think of the count. Yeah, probably I could give it to you, chop it up a little bit. It's like it, but it goes in the house, they fishing, and every time they pull that net in, they going through the fish, this is good.
Yes,
This is good one.
the disciples fishing.
Because the disciples the water, they fishing like this a good one, this a good one.
Yeah,
And all the bad fish, they going back in there.
Yeah.
And then that net go out there again every time they reel it in. But they not ever pulling back them fish that just been thrown back over there for destruction.
Yeah.
That goes into like what you were saying.
Yeah.
Like that net is the word. That they throwing the word out there and the spirit. How about Shema is pulling, who needs to come in and he's separating them. That 1/3 is being separated. And then 2/3 the people who ain't getting it, people who being thrown back. They're a lot of they getting thrown back out in the world. They've been a lot of for destruction.
Yep, exactly. And we did keep fishing. The Lord has us fishing the elect.
Fishing the men.
You got it, bro.
Keep reading it. Back to that Peter.
Go back to that Peter.
2 Peter 3. 7. All right, come on, verse 7, but I'm going to read 6 again. It says, whereby, this is back in 2 Peter chapter 3, starting back in verse 6, it says, whereby the world that then was being overflowed with water perished. Verse 7, but the heavens and earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men.
Yeah, so this age is reserved for fire. Okay? And that fire is the chariots of Yahweh. Okay? That's the method of judgment that the Lord is getting ready to put in the earth now. Okay? And he burnt, Sodom and Gomorrah, and he flooded during the time of Noah, but now he's finna flood the earth with missiles. It's like he's combining the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah and the time of Noah. Because even when you go back to Second Peter, now we can jump to Second Peter 2:5. Why is he speaking about these two judgments? Was Peter told something about this? Remember how Shah told the disciples a lot of things, man. And you kind of get a gist of a certain conversation of why these two judgments, okay, being mentioned together, okay? Because the judgment to come is like a combination of both. That's why America is known as what? The lake of fire. You got it, bro.
That's why I said, it should be like a time of never before. So when you go to it, those are like the two, remember from Rome, two times of judgment that really stood out.
Yep.
And if we looking at them two as the two significant ones, the Lord telling you, it's going to these two ain't got nothing on what I'm about to do to you.
Yeah.
You said verse 5.
That's why I said, matter of fact, read it.
Verse 5?
Yep.
2 Peter chapter 2, verse 5. And spared not the whole world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, and bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly.
Yeah, so bringing in the flood of the world of the ungodly. Okay, and isn't this an ungodly society? Okay, isn't this a society that reverence not Yahweh Bashim Shai? They reverence themselves. They into idolatry. You know, this is a pagan culture. This is a rebellious culture. So you look at the time of Noah and tell you how the earth was violent. Okay, that every thought of men was corrupted. This is this society, man. You know, we went into that yesterday at camp, man. How folly is the standard. You know, this is a society where just folly, okay, is nothing. Folly is the culture. You see, sin is the culture. Okay, so there's a judgment for that. You can't have a culture of sin and it doesn't go unjudged. And the Lord showed that. The time of Noah showed that. The time of Sodom and Gomorrah showed that, man. You can't just have lewdness, okay, and it doesn't go check. And we serve, and it's a righteous power that governs the earth, okay.
Good. And you can add to it, just like we went to the other day. You know, a lot of people say, you know, how Shah came back and done away with the law. No, he didn't. He fulfilled the point. He fulfilled the prophecy that he was supposed to do. He was supposed to do. But that don't mean, you know, just because he was able to conquer the flesh, because that's what it goes into. That don't mean he can live lawless. You know? Keep reading.
Yeah, yeah.
Verse 6, it says, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemn them with an overthrow,
Yep.
making them an example unto those that are after should live in God.
Yeah, so Sodom and Gomorrah was an example, all right, and an example is going into like a sample. And when you sample something, it's a smaller version of the real thing. So Sodom and Gomorrah was a small sample of what the Lord is going to do to America. Okay, so when you see, when you read about the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah, well, that's a sample of what the Lord is going to do to America on a much larger scale. Okay, so Sodom and Gomorrah, their culture, all right, and then here it is, it's written in the book. So now you people are charged with deliberately doing what the hell you want to do because it's written. It's written that if you live like this, you're gonna get judged like this. And here it is. What does America do? They give those people rights. Okay. Matter of fact, get that real quick in Second Ezra chapter 2 and verse 7.
Second.
Not only do you allow, you know, their culture, but you protect it. See, you start off with, you know, the children. You see?
Second.
Yeah. Well, Second Ezra chapter 2, verse 6. We're gonna get into
Second Ezra chapter 2, scroll down to verse 6. It says that thou bring them to confusion and their mothers to a spoil, that there may be no offspring of them.
Go ahead.
Verse 7, let them be scattered abroad among the
Verse
heathen.
8. Yeah, go to verse 8.
Verse
Second
8,
Ezra 2, 8. Yeah.
Second Ezra chapter 2 and verse 8,
Yep.
it says, woe be unto thee, assured,
Yep.
though that hidest the righteous envy,
That we can, we can.
flock water, bro. It says, let's read it from the top. Verse 8, it says, woe be unto thee, assured, though that hidest the unrighteous envy, O thou wicked people, remember what I did unto Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, so it says, go to be assured. Assured is speaking about Assyria. Okay? If you go into the history of Assyria, you know, their last king was known for being a prop dresser. You know, he was a lewd guy. All right? He was a lewd nigga, man. Okay? So it says, want to be assured that hideth the unrighteous envy. Okay? And America is likened unto Assyria at this time. And what eventually happened to Nineveh, it was burnt down, you know, by the Babylonians and the Medes. Okay? So Syria, you know, became like Sodom and Gomorrah. All right? And the Lord caused, you know, their kingdom, you know, the capital of their kingdom to be burned. You know? So now America, all right, they hide the unrighteousness, which means when you're hiding something, you're protecting it. Okay, that's why people come to America to be as lewd as they want. That's why even those sheikhs, okay, those Saudis, when they want to do some lewdness, who do they fly in? They fly in the American woman. Okay, what they call the porta potty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Walking according to
yeah, yeah. You you fly in America, you can fly in America and use an American as a porta potty. They don't do that to their women over there, you know. But to the American woman, they can treat them like a porta potty, okay? Because America is a lewd culture. You see? You got it, bro.
Fuck, it made me think, you know how they say like America is home of the free?
Yep.
Because these niggas is free from any type of structure, order, or discipline. They free of all standards.
Yep.
That's why they can go and do that and come back here thinking that shit.
Yep.
You know?
Well, they are.
If they read down on
But then it said, what? Remember what I did in Solomon and Gomorrah. So that's that constant reminder.
Yep.
You know? So read 8.
Verse 8, it says, woe be unto thee, the sure con.
Yeah.
Though that hide is the unrighteousness in thee, O thou wicked people, remember what I did unto Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yep.
whose land lieth in clouds of pitch.
Yeah, so look at the results. You know, that's the thing, like, that's why you got to deal with results. Like, you know, you see somebody with a nice physique, you know, they get off the ass, but what do you do? Because people, like, what did you do to get those results? You know someone who, you know, was overweight and lost weight, you know, you ask, what did you do to get those results? You know, someone that's in a better financial situation, you know, that was struggling, and you're like, what you do now? Like, how you get those results? Okay, so you see the results of Sodom and Gomorrah, and you're gonna mimic those results. You're gonna mimic the actions that get those results. You see, so you're seeing a culture, an age today, especially in America, they're mimicking the same actions. Okay, of Sodom and Gomorrah, and they're gonna yield those results. What Jake say? What Jake say? Get stupid prize. Yep.
Find out.
So, yeah, America is playing a stupid game. And they're gonna get a stupid prize. Okay, it's gonna be a judge. They're gonna be flags. You know, American flags popped up. Okay, so now we're under the mindset. No, let it burn. Okay, because we're against everything here, man. If you agree with this place, throw you on the fire with it, man. Okay, if the word doesn't rehabilitate you, ain't nothing we can do. We'll put you on the fire, man. You know, the biggest controlled burn ever.
It's a control burn for real.
Yeah.
Kid.
Yeah, you go back to that video.
Say Peter 3. Still a 2.
Go back to 3.
Okay.
Matter of fact, yeah, you go back to 2. Because it's gonna go into just like no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Start. Trying to see what we stop today.
7. Peter 3. I mean, 2 Peter 2, 7.
God, 6.
Uh, yeah, you read 6 and then you think about that.
It's back in Peter chapter 2, 36. It says, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemn them with an overthrow, making them an example to those that after shall live ungodly.
Yeah, well, here
Verse 7, and deliver just Lot vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked.
and deliver just Lot vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. Okay, Lord will we instead of just Lot, you know, that was vexed with the filthy conversation of the conduct of the wicked. Man. You know, this is why, you know, now the Spirit has had us important in all costs, man. But we're here, and we the Lord vexes us in situation, man, so we can thirst, you know, for that judgment. Because we think about those that thirst for righteousness. Well, remember, righteousness comes with judgment. You know, there's righteous judgment. So we thirst for righteousness. We thirst for the righteous judgment of the Lord to settle in the earth, man. You know, we thirst for that destruction of America, man. You know, there you go again. You see,
Now,
we thirst for that destruction of this wicked place, man, which is righteousness, man. Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna read the NLT Bible.
Yeah.
Verse 7, it says, "But the Most High also rescued Lot out of Sodom,
Yep.
because he was a righteous man who was sick of the shameful immorality
Yep.
of the wicked people around him."
Go ahead.
Verse 8, back in the KJV, it says, "For that righteous man dwelling among thee, and seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds."
Yeah. So day to day, you know, day to day, and that's the bitterness of the truth, man. You have to wake up in this filth every day. Okay, but day to day, it's a vexation, man, to see wickedness go unchecked. You know, yeah, it's slow torment to see wickedness go unchecked, man. You know, but see, we're gonna be satisfied with going back into it. Matter of fact, get that Matthew 5 and 5, Papa Shop.
Matthew 5, chapter 5, it says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the kingdom."
Go ahead.
Verse 6, it says, "Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be fulfilled."
Oh, we said we hunger and thirst after righteousness. Well, the beginning of righteousness is the judgment of the wicked. We're going to be satisfied when the Lord judges this bitch, man. When the earth real to and fro like a junker. When America is the lake of fire. Okay? When the elites are in their bunkers hiding. When niggas don't, there's no such thing as a nigga anymore. Okay? There's no such thing as a nigga woman anymore. The badass kid, put them niggas in there too. Put them niggas on the bonfire too. Because we know what they finna grow into. It's gonna be a worse nigga than, you know what, NBA young boy, they got 10 kids. Yeah, yeah. Put all them niggas out there, man. We know what them niggas gonna grow into. Ain't no sense of playing and trying to start a community center. No. Bonfire. Let it burn.
They go to a precept where a man, if he had a child, a lazy child, or he want, he want to do what he's supposed to do, but shit, you take him to the elders. Get what? They got put to death.
Yep.
It's like going into another day. They say everybody from dealing with the issue, because everybody is gonna be vexed to get this nigga.
Yep. You know. Yep. So Lord finna clean everything up. So I say, well, we're gonna be satisfied. Get that word satisfied. Somebody say.
Say shut. Satisfied to content, please meet the expectations or desires of someone.
Woo. I said to meet the expectations of, because like you be vexed. You know what I'm saying? You just want to see this place judged, and the Lord gonna meet our expectations with that judgment, man. You know, when we see what the Lord, like Jacob's trouble, what the Lord finna do to niggas, man. What the Lord finna do to you proud Edomites. Okay, you proud asshole Americans, man. Like we gonna be, the Lord gonna meet our expectations, man. You know, we're gonna be satisfied. Okay, go ahead.
Back into that's more than 95.
That was it. You go back to Peter.
Second
Uh,
Peter.
Yeah, go to Second Peter. You can go back to chapter 3.
93 of Second Peter chapter 3. Stop at verse 7, read 7 again. It says, "But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto the fire against the day of judgment."
Yep. So this current society is it's kept for fire. It's reserved. The Lord has allowed this place to continue. He has, because He knew it's been on the earth for a while. So the Lord hasn't allowed, this place, to go into nuclear war, because there's certain souls that had to be born, that had to be brought back into the earth. So the Lord didn't allow this place to be destroyed before that time. He wanted everybody here in their position, man. You know, so everybody's reserved to a particular punishment. See, so the timing of the Lord, because the Lord's going to do a clean sweep. He's going to judge. He's going to destroy the militaries of the earth. He's going to destroy this beast system, this government. Okay, he's going to turn America to a desert, and he's going to deliver his elect because the elect are still being edified. So the Lord's going to do everything in one clean sweep. He's going to wrap this shit up. And a righteous reset is going to be in progress, man, at the return of Yahweh. Yahweh Shai's come to finish this bitch off, man. You know, you can say something, bro. You got it, bro.
It says, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men.
Yep.
But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day.
So to a day to the Lord is 1,000 years to us. Okay, so our 1,000 years is only one day unto the Lord. Okay, showing you that different time scale, different time stamp. The Most High doesn't dwell within time. He created that for us to dwell in. See, the scripture call him from the everlasting to everlasting. Okay, you can't even begin to comprehend that within me. So, the Lord's timing, okay, it's perfect. It's exact. Because we like, damn, but part of their long to our integrity being, you got to keep it because every day you got to, because just as much as you believe in, being a king and the ruler, the perks, the abundance, and wealth. Well, guess what? You gotta believe in that judgment too. So every day that the judgment doesn't happen is a test of faith. For us to keep our integrity until it happens. Because going to patience is, if you go into patience and suffering, until you get your desired outcome. So there's a constant, a daily, test of patience as we wait upon the judgment, man. Because it hasn't happened, but it's going to happen, man. You see? Yeah, bro.
Verse 9, it says, the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance.
Yeah, that all should come to repentance. Okay, and then all is speaking of the elect. So the Lord, has this thing appointed to where the destruction not gonna happen until the elect are sealed. Matter of fact, in that real quick in Revelation 7:1.
This is book of Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. After those things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
Yeah, so there's angels that are supervise, that are overseeing of this destruction. Okay, so they're being commanded not, to hurt the earth until a particular time. Go ahead.
Verse 2. I saw another angel descending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels who was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads.
Yeah, the servants of our power in their foreheads. That's the thing. All right, that's the doctrine. Okay, that's the faith. Okay, so until the elect, are edified and built up to a particular point to endure this destruction, okay, then those angels have been, charged to stand down. Okay, but now we can see those angels, being riled up. Those angels are gonna unleash, this third world war. I believe the other body brought that out. Book of Revelation, chapter 9, verse 14. Okay, you got it, bro.
It says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
Yeah, so it goes to 144,000, and eventually the multitude, okay, the innumerable multitude, the rest of the 1/3. So as the elect are being sealed, judgment is being prepared, you know? So because the Lord is going to come judge and deliver. You see? That's why the elect are going to seek, you know, matter of fact, get that in Revelation 15:1. So the elect are going to see this thing.
The book of Revelation, chapter 15, verse 1. And I saw a sign in heaven, great and marvelous, servant, it's like a very marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them it is filled, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High.
Yep. So those last plagues are going to be the missiles. The last plague, the 7th trump. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 2. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire,
Yep.
and them they had gotten victory over the beast,
Yep.
and over his image,
Yep.
and over his mark, and over his number and over the number of his name.
Yep.
Stand on the sea of glass, having the hearts of the Most High.
Yeah, so that's the elect, you know, that didn't bow down. Okay, that stayed faithful to Yahweh Bashim Shah. Okay, that didn't bow down to the system, because if you take that seat and you bow to an idol, okay, and that's unforgivable. You gotta die to death. Okay, but the elect, okay, they'll rather die, all right, for Yahweh Shah than to bend the knee to idols. So even those that die, okay, for the testimony of Yahweh Shah, they're going to be on those chariots, okay, alive, raised up, immortal, looking at this place on fire, man. So the deliverance and the judgment is hand in hand. You know, that's why we've been awakened in the time of judgment, because that deliverance and judgment go hand in hand. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 3, it says, and they sing the song of Moses and the servant of the Most High, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are thy works. Yahweh Shema Shah power, almighty, and socket. Lord Yahweh Shema Shah power, almighty, just and true are thy words, thy king of servants.
Yep, thy king of saints. You know,
Saints.
it's gonna be a just judgment, a righteous judgment. You know, we're gonna be celebrating like this is righteousness, man. We're gonna experience righteousness. We're gonna be perfect. We're gonna be changed, and we're gonna fully understand like this is righteous, man. We're gonna be celebrating this. This is gonna be righteous, man. So that's the spirit, okay, that we're in. See, we under the impression of let this bitch burn, man. All right, and if you all right against your house shot, hey, let you burn with it. Because either as an Israelite you're with them or against them. Ain't no in between. Yeah, we don't care about your situation. You know why you are like you are. You don't give a damn. Okay, point is you are what you are. All right, you're dealing with the product. Okay, so we have come to the conclusion in the spirit, you see, that the destruction that's written is the perfect judgment for this place, man, and the society and these people, you know. So, you had anything else, bro?
Nah, that was it.
All right, well, for that, we pray that you brothers, all right, and you sisters identify once again and give all praise to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kadosh, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS. We will teach well, be a great example towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutation, hopefully, shalom.